After finishing the Eclipse and the Golden Age arc, I now understand why people say Griffith is one of the most likable and relatable characters in manga history. Okay, I'm playing. Yeah, no, Griffith is a demon, literally. But having just finished the Golden Age arc, and in particular the Eclipse, Berserk is a masterpiece in every sense of the word. The Eclipse broke me in ways I didn't think it would. I now understand why people say Guts and Casca suffer a lot, because wow, they suffered a lot. And that's putting it extremely lightly. The way Kentaro Miura, and I think I'm saying his last name right, let me know if I am or not, Miura, but the way he's able to constantly conjure up deep emotions within me is a testament to the careful patience and crafting of Guts and the story. And in the Eclipse, he doesn't hold back in stripping you of your humanity and everything you hold dear. And I just have to applaud that. He doesn't hold back. Reading Berserk right now could not have been better timing because I just finished reading Tokyo Ghoul. Plus, my favorite manga is Gantz. So I'm in that I want to see blood, limbs, guts, not the character, but guts, flying all across my screen mood. And Berserk is delivering. The Eclipse is one of the best things I've seen in manga, and it has some of my favorite chapters I've ever read in manga. And we're going to get into all of that. The way the Eclipse starts is genius. Before the invocation of doom even begins, we get the extraordinary sense of scale of what's happening, and we immediately feel the hopelessness of the situation. Seeing Guts, Casca, and the characters we grow to care for stuck in the middle of hundreds upon hundreds of apostles, with the God Hand towering over them, especially the one named Void. All you're left with saying is, damn, these guys are fucked. And that's where the true horror of the Eclipse stems from, because you know for a fact, they're not going to come out of it unscathed. And again, the sense of scale is what elicits those feelings of hopelessness. Miura's artwork is literally museum level artwork. When people said Berserk has some of the best art in manga, I'm gonna be honest, I was a little skeptical. And that's only because I knew Berserk came out in 1988 and a lot of it came out in the 90s. And for some reason, and I know I'm wrong in thinking this, but I just have this thing in my brain where I just feel like the art in any manga that came out before the 2000s is mediocre. Don't know why I think that. I know I'm wrong in thinking that, but I just do. Look, I was born in 2001. So to me, anybody that was born and anything that came out in 1999 is just as ancient as the Declaration of Independence. But Miura put my skepticism away and shut me the fuck up because the art in Berserk is literally breathtaking. It sounds boring saying that, but that's the best way I can put it. It's that great. Right from the start of Berserk in Prologue 1, I immediately noticed how incredible the art is for something that came out in 1888. And in the Eclipse, he doesn't hold back on the art. Before the Invocation of Doom, we get a lot of these 2-page panels, and Jesus Christ, I need to get my hands on the Berserk Deluxe Editions that Dark Horse came out with, because from what I hear, they made the panels bigger, so you can really grasp the beauty of Miura's art in its entirety. I need to buy those immediately. And Dark Horse, I know you're watching, so please, come out with a Gantz Deluxe Edition. I'm begging you. But yeah, seeing Void pop out is absolutely terrifying. My favorite movie genre is horror, and I just love getting scared and being on the edge of my seat when something horrifying happens. But for some reason, horror in manga just doesn't really scare me, and doesn't do it for me the same way horror movies do. I don't know why that is, but the Eclipse got me terrified. I mean, just look at this panel. Oh my god, the art is amazing. The background, combined with the scale and character design of Void, it got me terrified. Void's character design is absolutely amazing. He looks so freaking cool and scary at the same time. It's legit one of my favorite demon monster character designs I've ever seen. He reminds me of, and he actually looks straight out of it too, but he reminds me of the Cenobites, the group of demons from the Hellraiser movies. And he especially reminds me of that one Cenobite with the teeth. And when the God Hand are explaining what's going on, I love the expression on Griffith's face because it's the same expression that he has for the entire Eclipse before he becomes Femto. And it's the same expression that I had while reading this. I love the expressions on the face of the Band of the Hawk when they realize they're about to be sacrificed because they know they're screwed. And I love how Miura's on your face about it with basically telling you, yeah, these guys are gonna die. Again, adding on to that horror element. And it's not even dread, it's just straight up hopelessness because you know something really bad is gonna happen and they're not gonna stop it. And then Griffith is lifted up to the God Hand, where the Invocation of Doom begins, and this is where one of my favorite chapters ever begins. Chapter 77. In this chapter, we get a look into Griffith's consciousness. We see that Griffith wants to reach his castle, and the castle is symbolism for his dream. But Griffith realizes that he's all alone, and there's no one else around. It's only until he makes his way to the castle, his dream, that he realizes he's stepping on hundreds of corpses. And this old lady, which is a manifestation of part of his consciousness, tells Griffith, so essentially he's talking to himself, that this mountain of corpses is the only road for Griffith to reach his dream. Griffith is in denial and says that he never wanted his friends to die, but the old lady responds saying that the only reason he made it this far and where he's at where he is now is because of those hundreds of corpses, and that if he wants to reach his dream, he has to pile on more corpses. Griffith is horrified, and the old lady berates him, saying that he shouldn't feel that way because he knew what he was doing and what kind of road he was taking to reach his dream. Griffith then realizes this Well, it's more that he admits to himself that all along, he knew the people closest to him, the people he cares about, would all die in pursuit of his dream. And he says that there's no reason for regrets, that this is what he wanted. This mountain of corpses is the road he decided to take, and that he won't apologize because if he does, then everything would have been for nothing, and he won't be able to reach his dream. The chapter ends with one of the members of the God Hand telling Griffith that is who he is. This chapter is a masterpiece. It gave us a look into Griffith's own thoughts and feelings, and I love how it was shown to us as Kid Griffith and an old lady. But it's actually just Griffith talking to himself and admitting to himself what kind of person he is and what he's been doing all along. I love this chapter so much. Everything about it, from the imagery such as the mountain of corpses and Griffith reaching his dream, to the back and forth talk with himself, everything was perfect. And this chapter is followed up by my second favorite chapter in Berserk so far. We see the God Hand trying to entice Griffith into taking the next step of sacrificing his friends for his dreams. And again, just look at this panel. Like, look how amazing this panel is. Why didn't anyone tell me this panel existed? It's so good. I love how Void is just enticing Griffith, trying to sell him on becoming a demon by sacrificing his friends. Guts then reaches the top to get to Griffith. I love the use of images of Guts, and the first is of Guts when he reaches the top and is looking at Griffith. The second is of both Guts and Griffith, and it shows you their bond, companionship, friendship, all the while Griffith is saying that Guts is the only one that made him forget about his dream. And it's at this moment where you realize that Griffith saw Guts as his best friend, and it ends with Griffith saying that he sacrifices Guts and the rest of the band of the Hawk. And my god, this panel is godlike. Berserk is a masterpiece. I'm not even close to finishing it, but it's a masterpiece. This moment was so beautiful in a horrifyingly melancholic way because we're watching this character come to terms with his love and admiration for his best friend, but also coming to terms with the kind of person that he is and choosing to sacrifice his best friend for his dream. It was just done in a beautiful and horrifying way. Beautiful in the sense that Griffith's character writing is incredible, and horrifying in the sense that what he's doing is absolutely terrible. Leave it to Berserk. Only Berserk can make something both beautiful and terrifying at the same time. And honestly, this is why Griffith should be an inspiration to everyone out there, because Griffith exemplifies reaching your dreams no matter what. And after Griffith chooses to sacrifice his friends, we see the band of the Hawk get marked with the brand, and then the feast begins. And wow, it's insane. Miura gave us 7 pages of the Band of the Hawk getting absolutely wrecked. Watching this massacre unfold reminded me of the Italian mission in Gantz, where it's just a crazy slaughter and everyone is dying. We move to Guts and we see that he's in denial. He can't believe that his best friend just willingly decided to sacrifice all of them. We get this masterpiece of an entire page, where Guts is in denial of Griffith's decision. He remembers certain conversations with Griffith. The first one is a conversation that happened in the early days of the Band of the Hawk, a conversation that we saw back in Prologue 8. The second is a conversation that he heard Griffith have when he was talking to Princess Charlotte when Guts was at the bottom of the stairs. And the third, a conversation that happens after Griffith and Guts carried out their plan to kill the people that tried to assassinate Griffith. In this moment, Guts realizes that this is the type of person that Griffith is, that he's always been like that the entire time. I love how Miura uses callbacks to previous moments and conversations, and usually I don't like callbacks because they take away from what's happening in the moment, but the way Miura uses them in Berserk is exceptional, especially in this moment, because the callbacks are used in service for the character of Griffith. 2 chapters ago, we had Griffith admit to himself that this is who he was all along, and in this moment, in this page, we have Guts using those callbacks to Griffith to help him realize that this is who Griffith truly is. Just amazing writing. We then get 2 straight chapters of the main members of the Band of the Hawk dying. We see Pippin, Corcus, and Judio die, and man, I just feel so bad for Casca. She suffers a lot in this moment. Man, it just sucks, and unfortunately it's gonna get worse. We then see Guts going berserk, destroying absolutely everything in his path, and I love this one moment amidst all the chaos where Guts, before moving on to kill more apostles, he realizes it's the last time he might see Griffith before he turns, and Guts looks back at him one last time, and the look that he gives is so heartbreaking. It's the face of someone losing their best friend. And I mean, Miura is incredible at drawing facial expressions. Like, he's unbelievable at drawing facial expressions. Berserk has some of the best facial expressions I've seen in manga. Seeing Guts going crazy and mowing down every apostle in sight was awesome. I was literally gripping my balls from how intense and insane it was. And then we have another heartbreaking moment for Guts. As he finally goes back to ground level, he slowly realizes that he's covered in the blood of his fallen comrades. And you just see the look on Guts' face. Pain, heartbreak, agony. And that's what's really sad about Guts' character, because we know that he's going to lose it all. We start Berserk off in the Prologue Chapters, which take place after the Eclipse, and seeing how Guts is at the present moment is difficult to see after reading the Golden Age arc, because in the Prologue Chapters we see someone who's very unfriendly. He has a very reserved but aggressive personality. He's broken down and lonely. We see that Guts grows to be admired, loved, and cherished by many others. People look up to him and want to be around him. We just saw a few chapters before the Eclipse that his men want to be with him. They see him as a leader. The Band of the Hawk look up to him. And in turn, we see Guts care for them as well. We see him mourn a fallen comrade, and we even see him recount one of his men's, Gadsden's, dreams. So to get from that and then seeing how all of them are dead right in front of him, it makes it that much more heartbreaking because we know how he's going to turn out. And this is why. Guts then notices Casca and what the apostles did to her, and he just goes insane. And I love how Miura drew these pages. It just captures the rage that Guts is feeling. And in his pursuit to try to save Casca, Griffith, or should I say Femto, emerges. And I'm gonna just say it, this is the best Batman costume I've ever seen. It's slightly better than the suit Batman had in Arkham Knight. But anyways, Griffith is one of the worst things I've ever seen. And I still can't process what I read, even though I read it like 2 days ago. Griffith proceeds to violate Casca. I don't want to say what he does because I don't want a YouTube bot to hear that word and then not push this video out. But yeah, he violates her, and man, that was sad, bro. I saw 13 Reasons Why, and the pool scene and also the bathroom scene. If you watch 13 Reasons Why, then you know what I'm talking about. But after watching those scenes, I didn't think it could be worse than that. After watching A Clockwork Orange, I didn't think it could get any more disturbing than that. After watching that scene in Game of Thrones with Sansa and Ramsay, I didn't think it could get any uglier than that. But after seeing what Griffith does, yeah, I mean, it was crazy. It was brutal. And Guts watches it all happen. And damn, you feel the rage that he's feeling. It was just crazy. It was crazy. It was crazy. We find out this is how he loses his arm and one of his eyes. And yeah, like I said, I now understand why people said Guts and Casca suffer a lot. I wasn't spoiled on anything. I just always saw people say, damn, Guts suffers a lot. And I feel bad for Casca. But while reading the Golden Age arc, I never imagined it would be this bad. And I'm talking about the whole Eclipse. And then out of nowhere, the Skullface character, what's his name? I'm gonna just call him Skullface. Well, he comes in and strikes Void, and we get this cool moment where Void like reflects his attack and like sends it back to him, but Skullface blocks it. That was really cool. And then Skullface just swoops in and saves Guts and Casca and escapes out of there. And he ends Guts and Casca's suffering, but also my suffering. And that ends the Eclipse. That ends the nightmare. And that was one hell of a ride. The Eclipse was truly one of the best things I've ever read. It had everything, literally had everything. Berserk so far has been a masterpiece. It's a phenomenal read, and I just love how Miura structured the story. I really do like how I started off the prologue with Guts after the Eclipse, instead of starting it off with the Golden Age arc. Because by starting off the story post-Eclipse, it sets up the story to us readers that this is a dark fantasy. The first 3 prologue chapters are pure dark fantasy, and I really appreciate they started it off that way. Because if it would have started off with Prologue 9, where Gambino first gets Guts from the tree, then it would have made Berserk seem like a medieval story with no fantasy elements whatsoever. And we don't get real fantasy elements up until chapter 2 and 3, with the introduction of Nosferatu Zod. And it probably would have been a little weird and awkward to see that when everything before has been an amazing medieval story. So yeah, I just wanted to say that I appreciate that I started the story off with Guts after the Eclipse, because it let us know that Berserk at its core is a dark fantasy story. Like for example, Game of Thrones, a medieval story. Literally the first game of Game of Thrones starts off with introducing the White Walkers, and also Lord of the Rings. Well, actually, never mind. Lord of the Rings is much more fantasy than it is medieval. But yes, everybody, those are my thoughts on Berserk all the way up until the Golden Age arc. Right now, at the moment, I just finished reading the Lost Children arc, so that's where I am in the story. And yeah, everything so far has been great. The Eclipse was awesome, 10 out of 10. And the Golden Age arc as a whole is one of the best arcs I've read. I love Berserk so far, and I can't wait to finish it. Thank you for watching the video all the way to the end. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it, and it would help me out a lot. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace!